How's it going, everyone? This is Mitchell Mander here, and welcome to another review of the Black Clover anime. We're going to be covering episode 168 in today's review, and this is the debut of Nacht into the anime, just as it's about to end, too. So I'm very curious to see what that announcement is going to be on the 30th. But anyways, how was the episode? Well, before I get on to the review, I just want to say if you're new to the channel, you like this type of content, you know the drill. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Alrighty, on to the review. So following the conclusion with the battle with Dante, in which Yami is captured by Zenon, Asta is being healed as he is completely unconscious, and unfortunately they can't do anything about his right arm. They're not really sure what's going on with it, but there's nothing they can do about it for the time being. Gray over here actually wants Ghost to be kind of checked out as well, because he had a sword ran through him, and she wasn't sure if it was transformation magic or something else that healed him. Well, turns out he actually wasn't healed, but in fact the tissues in his body were reattached completely. So it's like he was never stabbed in the first place, pretty much, which was kind of interesting. So, as it turns out, Gray's magic wasn't transformation magic that was used here. So she's got to figure out on her own what exactly she used to save Ghosh's life. So Asta wakes up and he immediately rushes out to go and find Yami, because Yami's been captured. But he's stopped by none other than Nacht, the vice captain of the Black Bulls, who's only been to the base only once before, has never shown its face to the others besides Yami. But Nacht over here stops Asta because what he's about to do is very reckless, and he'll most likely get himself killed if he goes out to the Spade Nation all by himself. And I like the conversation that Asta and Nacht have, and it's kind of funny because Nacht basically casually reveals that, yeah, I'm also devil possessed as well, and he grows horns out of his head and shows that he has control over his devil, actually. In fact, his devil shows up and greets Asta and calls him a shrimp, which is kind of funny because this devil's a little guy as well. He's a lot shorter than Asta, as you can tell. At least that's not his real form, but in his miniature form here, he's a lot smaller than Asta. But the voice acting here was hilarious. I was cracking up while watching the scene. But anyways, I like how Nacht doesn't like Yami, but ends up liking Asta and actually thinks of him as a good person. But Asta needs to get rest because they have somewhere to go in the morning, so go to sleep, even though you just witnessed a traumatic event with your captain being captured and taken away to the Spade Nation to be sacrificed. Yeah, you need to catch some sleep, so go ahead and do that, Asta. So the next day comes and an emergency captain's meeting is being held because, well, the day before was kind of crazy because half of the Golden Dawn is dead, Vangence and Yami have been captured, the Heart Kingdom was attacked, and they can't get in contact with anybody there, so yeah, things are not looking too good, and they're not really all too happy. In fact, there's a lot of tensions going on at this captain's meeting. Jack wanting to personally go and face off against the Dark Triad by himself. Obviously, he definitely cares about Yami, but he doesn't want to show it. Same with Charlotte over here, who's trying to act tough, but she's secretly worried about Yami because she hasn't been able to tell Yami that she actually loves him. So she's super worried for Yami. Yeah, and just as things are getting kind of tense in this meeting, Nacht shows up with Asta and immediately calms everyone down. I like how Nacht has the ability. He just basically rises up through the floor. He can drag people down through the floor or through the ground and then rise up through the ground. I don't know, I think that's pretty interesting. It's a pretty neat ability. But anyways, he shows up, everybody goes to attack him, and he immediately stops everybody's attacks. Turns out he has more devils. He doesn't have control of just one devil. He's got multiple devils, which is pretty crazy. Despite that, he's no match for the Dark Triad, which is, I don't know about you, but these Dark Triad members, yeah, I mean, they have some powerful devils, but yeah, Nacht, you have like 4 devils under your belt, so how in the world aren't you able to stand up to at least one of them? Just saying. Now, as we learn in this episode, Nacht was actually sent to the Spade Kingdom as a spy, and that's why he's only been to the Black Bulls base once, and that's why nobody really seems to recognize him. Though Jack over here recognizes him, but Nacht over here simply just says that man died. Well, more on that at a later date. But anyways, Nacht over here basically explains to them what's going to happen, or what's going on, and why Vangence and Yami were captured. So they were captured because the Dark Triad are going to be performing a ritual, with Yami and Vangence being in the middle of this ritual. It will take about 7 days to complete. What they're doing is they're basically opening up the underworld. And basically, in the underworld, there's 7 different levels. It's kind of like, it's very similar to like Dante's Inferno, where there's like 9 circles of hell in that poem. Well, here we have 7 circles, basically, of the underworld, and each circle has devils in them. And the upper devils are about as strong as the Dark Triad, but the mid to lower devils, yeah, they're far superior to the Dark Triad and the upper devils. And the one at the bottom is the main devil, Lucifero. Yeah, if he emerges, yeah, we're basically all screwed. There's absolutely nothing we can do at that point. We're basically all dead. That all being said, it's going to take a little while for this ritual to complete. So until that ends, Yami and Vangence will not die. They won't die until it's completely open. So they need to prevent that from happening at all costs. Even opening up one of the circles is going to be a bit of an issue. So they need to try and prevent that as much as possible. But anyways, Nacht has 2 plans here in order to deal with the Dark Triad and trying to prevent them from opening up the gates of the underworld. So the first plan is Asta, to make him the ultimate warrior because his anti-magic is going to be absolutely valuable to combating the Dark Triad and any devils that may potentially leak out into the world. So there's that. He also wants to bring a bunch of captains or vice captains that are capable enough with dealing with the Dark Triad. At least 2 to deal with each one, or at least a couple of them. Just get a bunch of people gathering around and invade the Spade Kingdom. Now, Yuno actually gets some pretty good character development because Yuno over here, he actually wants to go off and with the other captains and go to the Spade Kingdom, invade, and take on the Dark Triad. Even though he lost the day before, he's absolutely determined to go up against them because Vangence was captured, he wants to save him, and half of his squad was completely wiped out, so he obviously wants to defend the honor of the Golden Dawns, the best magic squad in the Clover Kingdom. But everybody seems to be very skeptical because he did lose. Jack actually tells him, hey, you lost the day before, what good would you be? Nacht over here is also suspicious because somebody from the Spade Kingdom snuck into the Clover Kingdom and is at the Golden Dawn hideout. So he actually demands Yuno tell who exactly he is. And that's when Yuno reveals to everybody, yeah, apparently I'm the Prince of the Spade Kingdom, which shocks Asta. It shocks everybody, but at the same time, they're not really too surprised because he has a tremendous amount of mana, and this seems to explain it because he's actually royalty. Now, one of the things that Yuno brings up here is that I know you all are very skeptical of Vangence because of what happened during the elf invasion and basically how he was essentially responsible for all that going on. I don't really blame you guys, but he's working super hard now to defend the honor of the Clover Kingdom and the Golden Dawn. And while he was facing off against Xenon, he was actually protecting his squad members the best he could. And as a result, he was defeated and captured. He did so he could save lives, as many lives of his squad members as possible. So Yuno wants to defend his honor and save him, which I thought was a pretty interesting scene. Another interesting part here is that his mana starts swelling up, and it turns out that the Wind Spirit over here is gathering some insane mana to deal with Xenon, so she's concentrating. So Nacht over here actually acknowledges Yuno and actually says, I actually like people like you. I don't hate you. So pretty much Yuno's on board as a result, so yay. The episode comes to an end with Noelle waking up in a strange area, and she's greeted by none other than Patri and the other elves. And that's where the episode comes to an end. Now I have to say, this was another good episode. Definitely not as good as last week's episode, which was to be expected. They went all out with last week's episode, and that's probably going to be the highlight of the end of Black Clover here, was episode 167. But this was still a good episode leading up to the events of what's currently going on in the manga. And I'm going to be completely honest, I'm beginning to think more and more that we are most likely going to be getting a movie, a canon movie, to finish up this arc. They might go the seasonal route, but I get the feeling that they're going to wrap this all up in a movie. It just feels like they're doing that because they introduced Nacht here at the very end of the Black Clover anime. Like, literally 3 episodes are left and we're just getting, introducing ourselves to Nacht. So it just tells me that, yeah, we're most likely getting a movie. I mean, I could be wrong, but I just feel like a movie's coming. So don't be surprised if the announcement on the 30th is we're getting a Black Clover movie to basically end off this arc. Now, the one thing I did like in this episode is that the anime added some additional scenes that were not really shown too much in the manga. So, at the beginning of this episode, you see the Golden Dawn, and a bunch of members that perish in the attack are being basically buried, and all their bodies are being covered up, which, it's a grim scene, but I like that the anime added this detail, and I actually like the details they added with Vangence here, which hit home, which I didn't think quite hit the mark in the manga, if I'm being completely honest, so I have to give kudos there. So both of these scenes I really appreciated. Alrighty guys, that's all I got for this episode review. So overall, this was a good episode. I'd say it's either a 7 or 8 out of 10 episode. Probably leaning on an 8 because it does progress the plot in a good way, and I actually like some of the things that did happen in this episode. So I gotta give this episode a thumbs up. An 8 out of 10. Alrighty guys, in the comment section down below, what did you think of this episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you ready for the ending of this series? Because we only have 2 more episodes left. Post your thoughts in the comment section down below. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you all later.